Okay, ready? All right, everybody, thank you. We are having our regular scheduled meeting for Monday, February 9th of our Garden City Council meeting. Clerk, please certify the meeting.
This meeting has been noticed in accordance with Idaho Code 74-204.
Call roll, please.
Councilmember Carver Herbert. Here. Councilmember Jorgensen.
Here.
Councilmember Page.
Here.
Councilmember Rasmussen.
Here. Right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Consent agenda, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda as it is written.
I would second.
Any discussion on the motion? Clerk, call roll, please.
Councilmember Carver Herbert.
Yes.
Councilmember Jorgensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Page.
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen.
Yes. All right, next item is special business. First thing on the agenda is to appoint Rachel Brickton to the Planning and Zoning Commission after Commissioner Wild stepped down. And so Council President Page and I were honored to be in the interview panel for that. And so we asked Ms. Brickton to join the P&Z, and so her resume was in the packet. You're welcome to have any. She is here in attendance, and so we wanted to. If you have any questions for her, if not, I would like the motion to approve Ms. Brickton as the next Planning and Zoning Commissioner.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Having interviewed Ms. Bickerton and reviewing her resume, I found her to be highly qualified. The background skills that she has will be very useful here in Garden City. And for that reason, I enthusiastically move that we authorize the mayor to appoint her to Planning and Zoning for a 3-year term.
Second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Ms. Brickton, you are now a Planning and Zoning Commissioner. Thank you. So Ms. Thornborough and I'm sure Chair Montoya will be in touch on what's next. Yes. Anything you like to say? Pictures. Yeah. Yes. So tradition, Rachel's, we get a picture. So come on up front in front of the lectern. Take this.
I'll be out. Oh.
Right. Oh, thank you. All right, you guys. Thank you for agreeing to take this on. It's very important to talk about. So. Excellent. Well, thank you. I'm glad you did. Thank you for coming on. All right. Take care, folks. You're welcome to stay for the whole meeting or. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is to authorize me to appoint Kendall Tatani to the Garden City Urban Renewal Agency for a 5-year term. Kendall was nominated by Denny Houston, who is the chair of the Urban Renewal Agency, and they and so her resume is also in the packet and very well qualified as well. And so I'm requesting and Chair Houston is requesting that we approve the appointment of Ms. Tanya to the Urban Renewal Agency.
Mr. Mayor, is it proper to hear a few words from Denny about Mr. I don't know your last name, Denny.
Houston,
Oh, that's right.
not Houston.
Houston. Would you like to? Would you like to address the council and explain
Yes, Danny,
your
can you-
recommendation?
And
Thank you, Mayor. Members, known Kendall now for 7 years. She's been living in the same neighborhood as me and Mayor Evans. Her husband is a surgeon at St. Al's. Her parents were just the former owners of the Stagecoach. It's recently sold to John Jackson. And so Fred and Francie are longtime residents of the Garden City area and supporters. I think she'll be an excellent member of our commission. Big support of Garden City.
Thank you.
With that, Mr. Mayor, I would move to authorize Mayor Jacobs to appoint Kendall Detani to the Garden City Urban Renewal Board Agency for a 5-year term.
I would second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? I didn't hear any nays. All right. Thank you. Kendall, thank you.
Slide to the right.
All right.
Well, we got meetings set up for February 24th. Yeah, I'll be there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denny.
Have a good evening, everybody. Nice
Thank
to
you.
see you. Okay. Moving on to item G, ordinances, resolutions, and contracts. We have resolution,
Mr. Mayor,
yeah,
we do have item F3, the
where am I? Oh, I'm sorry. I
That's
checked the
okay.
wrong number. See? Item 3 is our first quarter financial statement. Treasurer Lieber.
stand up here so I can see everybody. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So I do have in your packet a memo and then the summary and full detail of the first quarter financials, so October through December. So the first quarter, we really assume for the rest of the year, in most cases, in most line items, that we will spend the budgeted amount. Any exceptions are noted here. Those are known, things that we already know. We made a couple of changes. When a parks position vacated, when the manager of the parks resigned to move closer to home, Colin, in charge of that department, talked to all of the staff and the manager as well as he was leaving. And it was determined that if we brought on more load to the existing lawn service third party, that we wouldn't need to replace that position at this time. And that's actually working out very well and is saving us a pretty significant amount of money at this time. So the two staff members were, one staff member was elevated rather than a manager position, more to a supervisor position. And then both staff did receive a pay increase. So seems to be working well. Again, just some other minor items. We do have the water fund. As you may recall, we signed on to be a recipient of the PFAS, which is a contaminant that comes from plastics, was detected in a very small amount in one of our wells. That made us eligible to be part of the lawsuit. And so we are receiving that funding. There are no restrictions on the funding, so that at this time just falls to the revenue of the water fund. We do keep track of it, so we know how much we've received. We don't budget for it. We We don't know the timing on it, and we don't know the amounts until just really right before we are gonna get the money. Colin will send me an email. He says, watch for some money in the bank. Next thing I know, it's there. And I
Like
let him
manna from heaven, right?
Yeah, right. And I let him know how much. So, at this time, again, we had a few known items that we're keeping an eye on, but everything is trending well. Don't see any surprises at this time. The only one item that I didn't note, but is a little bit of a surprise, but again, another unknown, is the Intermountain Gas franchise fee. We just received that amount and it did come in lower than budget. It's actually been going down every year because we're not having cold winters. It's purely based on the revenues. And so it's very subjective to what type of a winter we have. When we budget for 27, going to budget for another low one, probably even a little bit lower, knowing that we've had a unseasonably warm winter this year. So other than that, other revenue items are trending very well. Our interest income's coming in well in our LGIP fund. So I'll stand for any questions at this time, and you can always feel free to reach out to me any other time as well.
Council, any questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Council President.
Ms. Libby, I had an opportunity to be part of the required signatures for when we changed our bank service provider. Is that going well?
It is. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Council President Page. We are noticing a decrease in the costs that are associated with Washington Federal, in addition to earning more interest. They use what's called a sweep account. So Washington Federal, whatever money we have in there at the end of the day gets swept into multiple banks for earning interest purposes. So if you look at the bank at each end of each day, there's a penny in there, but the sweep account has the rest of the money. So they're able to divide that up both for FDIC insurance purposes and for interest revenue. So that's working very well. And then the next day they sweep the money back over as needed. We're seeing really good results in that interest income and reduction in fees. We still have our account with US Bank open. We've been taking our cash there. I will most likely move forward with closing that account. We're just not getting those fees down to where they should be for something that's just receiving an occasional cash deposit. They actually charge you to walk in and deposit cash. I'm actually going to recommend I'm going to talk to Potlatch Federal Credit Union, which is inside Fred Meyer. Credit unions tend to be a little more friendly, a little better on fees. So they're close enough that it's not an inconvenience. And I'm going to approach them and see what kind of a deal they could offer us. There are some others in the local area, but a credit union seems to be a good option.
Well, I just want to say I'm very appreciative of you taking the time to do that research, and it seems to be a benefit to the city from what I'm hearing.
Thank you. I've been very happy with them as well from a service standpoint. We do have a local representative. It's been a really good move, I think, for the city as well.
Thank you. And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
May I ask another question?
You may.
Well, it's more of a comment. Just in light of how House Bill 389 and the effects, which we're now starting to feel, in what specific areas would you note? The reason I ask is you've all probably received the email that we have an opportunity to provide feedback about the bill, and there's a link with AIC to do that. And I'd just like to maybe hear some of your thoughts.
Sure, thank you. So one of the things that I'm putting together, and I'll actually send out to all the council members, where the city has noticed the actual financial hit is in the reduction of the new construction coming on, rather than at 100%, but at 90%. So that's the only place that we've really noticed a loss in funding. The first time I looked, I want to say we were around 50,000 in what we've actually lost. And so I'll put a spreadsheet together to send out to everyone. Our size and our amount of growth, we would most likely not hit the 8% cap. It would take a significant amount in 1 year. I ran the numbers reverse, and I think it'd have to be around 250 million in 1 year to hit the cap. So I'm not as concerned with that as much as I am that reduction in what we can bring on.
So it's your opinion that like a Boise Bible College, a project of that scope wouldn't approach the cap?
No, Council President Page, I don't believe so. Even the boardwalk. Another thing that benefits us is when it's a commercial or a commercial construction project where the county goes out and evaluates the value at January 1st of every year. A commercial project, they will prorate. So if it's 20% complete, and it's a $40 million project, you get to bring that 20% on that year, and then the rest on the next year. So if it took multiple years, that would be broken up. Where a residential home does not come on the tax roll until it is occupied. So it's a one-time hit. So the commercial helps, and then it's phased in.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we don't hit the 8%. And then there is, they're trying to convince the legislature to tweak 389, and their priority is to, and this is being spearheaded by Mayor Chadwick of Star, because he's probably the most impacted by 389 of all of our cities because of his significant growth. So their three spearheads are really, how do we get 100%? One. Two is he'd like to raise that cap, I believe, from like 8 to 15%, which again doesn't really affect our city because we'll never hit the 8%. And then I think they're looking to see if they can maybe freeze our levy rate at like 24 percentages, which would help. From our perspective, I think we would like that 100%. We would like to have 100% if we sunset an urban renewal district, because right now we would only collect 80% of that, not 100%. So that would benefit us, of course. And then third priority is raising the cap, just because we don't. But they're trying to balance that and trying to get through what they can. And so he is spearheading that. And so hopefully this work by the AIC will be fruitful. So I don't know how conducive the legislature will be to that, but we're crossing our fingers because all of the cities, all 197 of us are really trying to push that. So good questions. Anything else? All right, moving on to G now, since I skipped ahead. Resolution 1234-26, Ms. Thorbar.
Mayor and members of the council, thank you. This matter was reviewed at the last meeting, and it was continued to meet with Councilmember Carver Herbert. She had some great suggestions and some insight. For the most part, this really hasn't changed too much from what you saw previously, which are very much in alignment at the end of the day with our current operations. However, throughout the document, there has been refined language that maybe explains what's going on within the document, and helping for readability and consistency, as well as adding hyperlinks to the code. So if you're trying to utilize the document, it's a little bit easier. And incorporated some language that comes from existing current policies that we have in place. The biggest change that you'll see is Councilmember Carver Herbert had a great observation where the proposal that was brought before you a couple of weeks ago suggested increasing staff's time for processing and allowing staff to have 2 days to process public comments, which currently isn't built into our system. And so sometimes we can be trying to process a whole lot of public information and getting you your packet same day. But in doing so, that decreases, if you take into account the time for the mail carriers to bring the notice to the public, it decreases their time to be able to get those comments back to the city. And so instead of the 15 days that's statutorily required, it's been bumped up to 17 days to allow for that time. So staff will just need to notice a little bit earlier, and that should give the public about 6 days, give or take, to provide written comment or have it postmarked. So it could trickle in a little bit later than that, but at least have it postmarked in that time frame. Another concern that Councilmember Carver Herbert had brought up is that this is a policy guiding how the public interacts with the city. And this process hasn't included public comment. And so we discussed that this policy could move forward as drafted, but as the admin ordinance that's out ready for its third reading that needs to be reworked a little bit for the interfaith decision. This, whether or not this is adopted tonight, it could come forward with that ordinance as a companion document to make sure any changes made because of the admin ordinance are incorporated, and also provide the public the ability to comment on the policy. I condensed a long conversation into just a few bullet points. And so certainly if I've missed anything, I do welcome Councilmember Carver Herbert to step in. But with that, I stand for questions.
Any questions? Hearing none?
Mr. Arbo, I just wanted to acknowledge the time that you spent doing this, and I am really appreciative of that. I do think that it's a better document as a result of some of the changes that you made. So I appreciate it. And I also appreciate Mr. Wadhams for taking some considerable time with me, and certainly lots and lots of reading material for me to try to get caught up on, and recognizing the differences between ordinances and resolutions, and how this is truly a companion document to our actual city code. And I think when you read the two of them together, which still will require that, I think, in terms of understanding it in the future. But I think seeing some of the changes also that might be coming down the pike with what Mr. Wadhams is working on with regarding the administrative ordinance that you refer to, I think that it will even go further in addressing some of the concerns that I've had, particularly around addressing how do we know that a design review application will be elevated to a council review and hearing, as well as I think perhaps I'm hoping to see maybe that clarity around the differences between an appeal and a remand, and the process for making that a little bit more understandable for people. So very appreciative of that.
Yes, good work by everybody. So
Thank you.
I appreciate everybody's hard work on that. Okay, pleasure of the council.
Yes. So I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 1234-26.
I would second.
Second, any more discussion? Hearing none?
Councilmember Jorgensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen,
Yes.
Councilmember Carver Herbert. Yes.
Great, thank you. Moving on to item 2, resolution 1235-26 for the establishing of policy for the chamber. Mr. Wadhams.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This one's mine. My legal memorandum is on page 99 of your packet. That's basically the same memorandum as 2 weeks ago, except for starting on page 104, I put the update to reflect what we talked about, or what you talked about at the last council meeting. I transcribed that conversation on page 105 of your packet going forward. I did the same with the last resolution agenda item as well. But I think based on this transcript, I captured all the comments in the draft policy. So if we could turn, I'll just touch a couple things. If you could look at page 110 of your packet, I've added some definitions. I think that's consistent with what we talked about last time. I also included a definition for nexus to the city. So the way this policy reads is, number one, you need a nexus to the city, and 2, you need to be an authorized user. If you're a 501c3 from Germany, you got to have a nexus with the city, and you got to be a 501c3, for example. So defines nexus for the city, put some definitions in there to hopefully clarify everything. On page 111 of your packet on the policy, we designate, this is what we call the city council chambers. That's the official designation, which may be used by the library. I specified in here at the instruction of Councilmember Jorgensen that the chambers are to conduct business of the people. That's on page 111 on section number 3. is for the business of the people. Any business of the people takes priority over any other reservation or interest in the use of the council chambers. Councilmember Jorgensen suggested a disclosure statement on our applications. And so going through that transcript, I added a disclosure statement on page 111 of what that should look like. So I baked that in. And then on page 112 of your application or of your packet, it talks about who these authorized users are. They are the same authorized users as last time, except for one exception. After we had this conversation at the last council meeting, a representative of Legislative District 16 reached out, and she was concerned. She wanted to make sure that Legislative District 16 could still have their town hall meetings in this building. I did some research, and my legal conclusion is, as long as it's nonpartisan, it doesn't matter if they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents. As long as everybody's welcome in their town halls, they can continue because it's content neutral, right? We don't care about the political party. It's content neutral. So as long as they're not advocating politics, I put that in so it's clear. So Legislative District 16 should be covered. The one thing that I added on section 9, reservation procedures and fees, at the time it said that the council chambers is only open for reservations Tuesday through Thursday between 9:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. What was not in there, and so I just put it in here, and if Ms. Libby has another idea or anybody, that does not matter to me. But for the conference rooms, specifically the one upstairs, and that's what the pollinator gardeners use that one. I said the conference rooms are only available Monday through Friday between 9:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. Again, if other times work better for Ms. Libby and her staff, again, I'm not advocating, I just put that in because I thought we should have something in there. And then on page 114, we go back to Legislative District 16 on violations. I specifically put in here as risk management for the city that there is to be no political advocacy at any of the meetings that are in this building. Elected legislators are entitled to have their town hall meetings in here as long as we're ensuring neutrality and equal access to everybody. But political advocacy is not allowed. So those are the updates from last time. I put some updates on the actual resolution and the policy. I recommend that you pass the resolution with these edits and these revisions. And with that, I stand for questions. Thank you.
Questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
My question would be for Ms. Libby. Do you have any concerns regarding the conference room schedule as outlined?
Thank you, Councilmember Jorgensen. My staff only handles reservations for this council chambers. The conference room upstairs, we don't rent out. We allow certain groups. It very rarely gets used by anybody outside of the city. It's usually a staff-driven meeting. Pollinator garden happens to be an unusual circumstance. The other conference room is managed by the library. You have to have a library card to reserve it. And then the third small conference room in the legal wing is only used for staff meetings. So my staff would not be involved in those.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Councilmember.
I want to thank legal counsel for his diligence in reviewing the concerns and recrafting some of the language. I find the recraft and the new submission of this resolution meets my expectation. Therefore, I would make a motion to approve resolution 1235-26.
Second.
Here a second. Any further discussion?
I do have another question, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Carver.
So Mr. Wadhams, on page 113, it in the very first section, it talks about the city may cancel reservations without prior notice to the reserving party. What do you, how would you define that? Because could it be possibly that it could get canceled at the very last minute, and there are people that they've told would be having meetings could be showing up outside the door thinking that they could come in and not be able to come in. And so I was just curious about a little additional insight on that.
Mayor, Councilmember Wendy Carver Herbert. That is wording that the library drafted. I'm not advocating, I mean, whatever the library and the clerk's office and the mayor and the council are acceptable, whatever is acceptable, whatever is agreeable is fine with me. Again, that wording was just drafted by the library. Ms. Job.
Yeah, I think that probably is a case where, for instance, we had that special council meeting and we needed to, there's notice typically. I can't think of any incident where we're like an hour before that's ever been canceled, but that was an example where the library wanted to be in here to decorate and we said, you're gonna have to just come in the morning instead. So I don't think it's a particular issue, just that was the genesis of that.
Another question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
This is a follow-up question from Councilmember Jorgensen about the conference room time. So is having a conference room, so again, for clarity, that conference room, are we referring to the mayor's conference room? Because the library does, as you mentioned, have their own conference rooms, and those are only available during library hours when someone's in the building. And I'm just curious, if we're referring to that room being available, the conference room as being the mayor's conference room, are we comfortable with that being until 6 o'clock, which is after business hours?
Mayor, Councilmember Carver Herbert, great point. I went with, you'll see I put conference room in plural. That's because really we only have one that's a limited public forum, but there are two more. And so we could just specify the one conference room upstairs if we want. The hours are, I could tell you, I put 6 p.m. in there just because the pollinator gardens, they don't show up until like 5 or 5:30. So I put that 6 o'clock in there to try to accommodate them. Again, I have no preference one way or another. I can, just for these conference rooms, so I intentionally left it vague. Sometimes it's good to be vague. Sometimes it's good to be specific. I think you could be as specific as you want to on that. No preference from the legal department. Regarding the 3 different rooms, though, my notes are the conference room across the way. That's the legal department conference room. That's internal use only, not a public room. The room downstairs, that's at the discretion of the library for the library hours only. The library, you need a library card to use that. And so the council chambers, that is where the staff coordinates and calendars that. So if you want to be specific, I'm trying to answer your question. If you want to be specific, I think that's fine. I intentionally left it vague because I thought perhaps one of the conference rooms could open up or there. And I don't even know, to be honest with you, this conference room downstairs, everybody says it's the libraries. I don't know why people say it's the libraries. I've never seen any documentation on that. It's not a fight that I want to fight. But I just, I don't know. If the mayor said, okay, the city's going to take over that conference room, I don't know if the library would have legal standing to say no. So I left it vague and plural on purpose.
Thank you.
And for clarification, the mayor's office does have a lock. People can't access those back offices. The pollinator garden, for instance, can't open that door and walk in if no one's back there. So it is secure. So any further questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So the only point that I would have to, I agree with you, Mr. Wadham, sometimes making it more general. I just would be cautious that the library doesn't begin to believe that these time frames are intended for their library conference rooms, that they have the flexibility. And again, those are, for example, that one conference room is open until 8 o'clock on the night that the library is open until 8. So that would be the only thing that I would wonder if this could create some confusion with the library conference rooms and what the expectations for them would be and how long they can operate their conference rooms.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember.
Some of this, and I realize and I appreciate Mr. Wadham's attempt to make this vague, and I'm sure there's some drafting reasons that's very smart. To me, it can be a little bit ambiguous, and I realize that's by design. But in some ways, it might be nice to issue a different nomenclature for these rooms. For example, you go into a hotel and there's a sawtooth room, and there's a bitterroot room, or whatever. And something like that would make it really clear what room we're talking about, rather than giving it ownership in the name, like the library conference room or the mayor's conference room. Because really that might not be, that might not serve our best interests going down the road.
So should we make it first floor conference room? Because there's only one on the first floor, and then we can make it the legal conference room, because that really is kind of there, or in, staff conference room. I mean, I'm open to any suggestions on nomenclature. Let's solve this tonight.
Mr. Mayor, I might suggest that the legal conference room, I would not even include that in this.
Okay.
That is really just for staff use
So
only.
pretend it doesn't,
Yeah,
it's not
just-
there. Okay, so let's just
yeah.
talk about two conference rooms.
Yeah.
Good point.
I'm happy to draft it any which way the mayor and the council would like. I was at the Boise City Attorney's Office a couple weeks ago and I noticed that their conference rooms were named. I think one was like a blue heron room or something. So there's some.
Not a quiet conference room and
Yeah.
just conference.
I mean, I feel like we could do better in Garden City, like the blood pond room.
Well, we could have a contest. Let's see little kids in the.
But I would suggest in that case, mayor and council members, is I recommend you pass this down. We could certainly tweak it later. We could have a little contest and name the rooms.
I think that'd be fun. Yeah.
So I think it's important just to get something on the books and I'm happy to tweak it as the council would like. And I'm also happy to keep working on this if you think me to.
We'll come up with something fun and the way to name it. Maybe we'll do a contest in the library.
So this is mayor, council members. So this is, I did not know we were not charging the pollinator gardens, for example. I thought they were being charged the same as everybody else. So if we're not charging for the mayor's conference room upstairs, then I think if you're looking at page 112 where it says there's a $25 non-refundable maintenance fee, I think I should probably specify that's just for council chambers.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
So I would recommend approval as amended, just adding bullet 3 on the bottom of page 112 to say that the $25 non-refundable is only for the council chambers, if that helps with specificity.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Council member.
I amend my motion as outlined by the city's council.
Thank you for not repeating. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second the amended.
All right. Any further discussion? Clerk, call roll, please.
Councilmember Page,
Yes.
Councilmember Rasmussen,
Yes.
Councilmember Carver Herbert,
Yes.
Councilmember Jorgensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 1235-26 is approved. And we will come back with some of those tweaks when we have a cool name for our two conferences.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council.
Okay, moving on to item 3, resolution 1238-26 regarding the safe built fees. Director Thornborough.
Mayor, as a member of the council, hello again. This item also was continued from our last meeting. The reason for this, or let me refresh your memory just a little bit. I'm sure you're all very well aware of the matter, but Safe Built's agreement with the city allows for up to a 4% annual increase based on the CPI. However, this year they're invoking a separate clause to renegotiate the contract that they have with the city. In some instances, that in one instance, that means as much as a 27% increase in fees, with the most impactful increase being the increase in inspection fees from $90.52 an hour to $110 an hour. And so that could add up over the life of a project. Say there's 10 inspections, each at an hour a piece. All of a sudden, that's a $200 difference. The council had requested that we go back and discuss if there's any wiggle room on their request. In the packet on page 116, there's an email from Safe Built indicating that they're running at a 17% loss with the current contract. And they indicated that they would not be willing to continue with the contract if the city did not renegotiate. I guess that's the end of my presentation. And with that, I stand for questions.
Any questions for Director Thornborough?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Dorsey?
Director Thornborough, what is our relationship? Because I've got to be honest, I find this email very disingenuous for them to say, we value working with you, we appreciate your business, but we're not going to share any details of what our cost structure is, and we're moving on. Do we have a good relation? I mean, to me, if I were to make that claim, I would assume that there had been ongoing dialogue, that quarterly, they're coming to you and advising, hey, there's going to be some changes. Hey, we're concerned about that. Has that been part of this relationship?
Mayor, Councilmember Jorgensen, somewhat maybe. Throughout the years, they've noted with plan reviews more than inspections in the past, that they felt that they were running at a deficit in the plan reviews. But not on the inspection side of things. And as they note in this email, the plan review side of things seems to be more efficient now. And so I believe that part of it, not the relationship and the discussions, but part of it is because of the way that we have to manage our contracts between Doppel and Safe Built. We can't give larger commercial projects to Safe Built. The reason for that is we do the trades permits through the state. We don't have in-house trades permits, and Safe Built isn't capable of administering the trades permit. So we can't contract with them to administer those. And so it sets up a situation where they can't review any commercial project that has plumbing, electrical, and they can with mechanical, but there are details there. And so they end up with the smaller projects consistently. And so I think they've always wanted and had the dialogue that they want bigger projects with the city. We just haven't had the capacity on our side. We don't have those trade permits in-house to be able to offer that. In Doppel, will not provide inspections if another agency has done the reviews on the plan review side. And so that may be part of what feeds into this dialogue that you're seeing in your packet.
Ms. Thornborough, is the service that they're providing primarily labor? How much of this is, hey, we have to cart out a bunch of hardware to measure things, or is it generally the bulk of the cost, the human labor component?
Mayor, Councilmember Jorgensen, I would say the majority is human cost. The plan review, I don't know at what level they use AI, but I would think that the plan review is still pretty intensively human. And then the inspections, you actually have an inspector driving out on site and looking at what's been constructed. And so I do think the majority is human labor at this point in time. Still, not that can't, I know things are changing rapidly, particularly with the plan review side of things.
So Ms. Thornborough, another question for you. Are we prepared as a city to make whatever changes to pass these fee increases on?
Councilmember Jorgensen, excuse me, Mayor, Councilmember Jorgensen, the mayor has already had discussions with staff indicating that we need to bring the pass-through fees through as quickly as possible. Should you move forward with this tonight?
So to answer that question, Councilmember Jorgensen, I instructed staff we look at all of our fee schedules, not just these, but permits, everything that we do, kind of top to bottom, to see where we're at. We're also doing a comparison to other cities to see where we're at in terms of where we fall there. Some of our sister cities have mitigation fees and impact fees, which we don't. And so I've asked them to look at our fees in relationship to their fees, apples to apples, as if, so if it costs someone to do business with those cities and it includes mitigation and impact fees, well, I want to know what that cost is. And then how does it compare to our costs as a city? And so we're doing that review. My hope is to have a proposed fee schedule, revised fee schedule to council in the next meeting or two for you to look at them on and put that into place, because we can't absorb that as a city. It's got to be passed through on, but we're going to make sure that we're in line and we can compare it to where our sister cities are. So yes, we are looking at that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the effort, and I appreciate Director Thornborough that you went back and had these conversations and and are willing to do some research. Again, I'll just reiterate, I'm very disappointed in the way that this was handled. I understand and am not arguing that there hasn't been real inflation, real cost increases. I'm just very disappointed in the way that this was handed to us and the extent that the correction is being pushed onto the city, and frankly, with pretty little, what I would call true effort in sharing information and managing this relationship a little bit more closely. It's very disappointing as a vendor.
And Director Thornborough, I think we can pass that feedback on to Safe Build, we understand sometimes that costs go up and things like that, but we'd like a little bit more open dialogue and a little bit more frequent dialogue, as if they're having some of those troubles. It's not just springing on us like they did versus, hey, give us a warning that this is coming so that we can prepare and we understand what's going on. And we would expect that from one of our main vendors to have that honesty with us. And so that's what we want to have in our relationships. We also don't have a lot of other choices. And so we are somewhat stuck with them, but that doesn't mean we can't have an open dialogue discussion with our suppliers. And I would just say, after we vote on this, if it's ratified, I think we then go back and just say, done, but please be better, I guess is my message to them.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Page.
Ms. Thornborough, what's the deadline for this agreement?
Mayor, Council, President Page, there's no hard deadline per se. They submitted their initial request, I think it was the 27th of December, and they were hoping the beginning of the year. Just the way that the council meetings fell this year, and with some pretty momentous matters happening the first meeting in January. We weren't able to bring it in January. Again, they're pushing for this to be done ASAP. However, there's no, if this isn't done tomorrow or in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I would just propose to the council members, let's, in my opinion, we table this until our pass-through agreements are finalized so that we can do our pass-through agreements first. I just don't want to see us incur these additional costs until we have a mechanism in place to pass those on.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, can I give a quick point of order?
Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Mayor. On page 128 of your packets, it's the original contract, and I just wanted to make a statement real quick about the term section. This original contract was signed on August 17th of 21, and there's an automatic renewal section. It says the contract shall automatically renew for 12 months unless somebody says something. I think if we wanted to play hardball, if we wanted to advocate for our own rights, that their ask is too late. And they're stuck with the terms of the original contract because that was signed in August, and we just heard from Ms. Thornborough, they didn't even ask to do this until December. I don't know if they're working on a fiscal year or a calendar year. I don't even know what their budget cycle is, why they're asking for this in December. But this contract is automatically renewed by the clear plain wording of section 5. If you guys wanted to blow up and go nuclear on this.
Mayor, just
Not
as a
recommend
point
that.
of clarification, that is a discussion I've had with Safe Built in the past. Because of the CPI index, I have requested that they take a year instead of a month to look at an average of the CPI over that time frame. And so that may be a little bit dictated by staff saying you need to look at a full year's change when you make a request versus a 1 or 2 month change.
So Ms. Director Thornborough, what are your thoughts on Councilmember Page's idea that we tentatively approved, but we need to incorporate this so we can adjust our schedule first and then it'll kind of be approved? I think they would probably want some assurances that we're actually going to do that. And so I don't know if that's something in the resolution reading we can say, well, can we amend this, I guess, Mr. Wadhams, to say it'll take effect when our fees take effect, or do we table it?
Mayor, I would table it. It's cleaner just to table it.
Director Thornburg, what are your thoughts on that?
Mayor, Council President Page, I think that that's a great approach. I think that I may have to look at our fee schedule now. If any time the city is going to run in the red, I do know that we can charge at cost to the city. So there's no risk of us running in the red, but there may be a risk of us not, well, there's an overt risk of us not getting as many fees if we look at it this way. So I think another couple of weeks to make sure that we have pass through is a great approach. The one thing that I may ask, if we just do this very quickly, if we're doing a holistic review of fees, not to languish that, but maybe do the fees in two sections.
Ms. Libby, is that acceptable?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that was going to be my recommendation, that we tackle the pass-through fees first with a resolution that companions this one, and then we'll take a little more deeper dive on the rest of the fees.
And do you feel we might be able to have that ready by the 23rd?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
We'll just have to do the legal noticing, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
in the paper.
And we can do that generically enough that there will be a % increase that we don't have to have the specifics in the
Okay.
legal notice.
All right, so we'll shoot for having this at our next council meeting, safe built only, and then maybe a couple weeks after that, we'll have the rest of the fees, and we'll do it in two sections. Does that sound okay to everybody?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Page?
I move to table resolution 1238-26, date certain of February 23.
I would second.
Second. All right, clerk call roll.
Thank you.
We did call roll on that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, clerk call roll, please.
Councilmember Rasmussen?
Yes.
Councilmember Carver Herbert?
Yes.
Councilmember Jorgensen?
Yes.
Councilmember Page?
Yes.
Okay, tabled. We'll have something in front of you next meeting. So thank you. That was really good discussion. It worked out that way, and I think it allows us to also make a point with Safe Built in terms of, you know, if they're going to spring this on us, then we need to be prepared to get our ducks in a row too. So great point, everybody. I thought that was really wise. That's good business. Okay, that concludes our items on the agenda. Any new business? Councilmember President Page?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, I'm excited to announce that once again, our partners at Republic Services have really been a friend to the city. I've asked them to consider providing us with a repository for glass, similar to how the city of Eagle does theirs. If you go to the Eagle City Library, they have a receptacle that people, so there's not a curbside glass service in Eagle, but they have a glass service. And so I spoke with our liaison, who I think many of you know, Rochelle, and she jumped at the chance and just made things happen. So just super excited to announce that. I believe a receptacle is being delivered tomorrow morning around 9. I plan to be there. So, and I've got some bottles in my car. Ready to
You're
go.
going to be the first bottle.
President of the council, where is it going to be?
I believe, Mr. Mayor, and you please correct me if this is wrong. I believe on the west side of the parking lot. So
East End.
I'm sorry, east. That's correct. I pointed
City
east
Hall.
and said west.
City Hall.
Yeah. So not my Bell's books, but
Kind of close. So if you drive back there, we have our existing garbage
Yeah.
receptacle literally right next to it, so that the trucks can pull in straight and pull that out. So
Very nice.
yeah, so this is all Council President Page's initiative, and so he deserves all the credit for initiating this. So thank you, Council President Page.
thank you. Those are kind words, but really the credit to our partners. They've just really been amazing, in my opinion.
I agree.
Republic Services does a great job. And just as a side note, I met with them, you know, to kind of coordinate this, where we're going to put it, things like that. There's a huge demand for glass recycling right now. There didn't used to be, and now there is. And so there's a company up on Federal Way that I hope to tour soon, where they have a crusher and they've literally found markets for all of this glass all over the place. And so and they're starving for glass. This company is like, so they're asking all the cities to, anything you can do to recycle more and more and more of glass, versus before, a lot of glass just ended up in the Hawaii desert, and not anymore. So it's being actually industrialized and used. So this is a great deal. So it doesn't require a vote. This is informational only. And so thank you, Council President Page. Next time you come, remember your bottles.
President of
And,
Council and Mr. Mayor, speaking of a great partner, this again is just a great contrast to inexperience, Safe Built compared to Republic Services. That is what I think the city should recognize and reward and encourage in our vendors.
Duly noted. And I would think everybody would agree on that. Okay, any more new business? All right, I think that concludes our council meeting today. The motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn the regular council meeting.
I would second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Great meeting.